All right, we're back. It looked like we got knocked off a little bit, but we're gonna go ahead and pick up where we left off at. So I'm not sure exactly what took place, but we're gonna pick up where we left off at and keep up with this session. So again, we're talking about potassium and the role it plays when it comes to regulating blood pressure. So we talked about number one, the sodium potassium balance. Now we're gonna move on to number two, the counteracting sodium effects that potassium has. Potassium helps counterbalance the effects of sodium in the body. While sodium promotes fluid retention and raises blood pressure, potassium works to counteract these effects. By increasing potassium levels, you can mitigate the negative impact of sodium on blood pressure regulation. To maintain a healthy sodium-potassium balance, it is advised to limit sodium intake by reducing the consumption of processed and packaged foods, which tends to be high in sodium. Simultaneously, incorporating potassium-rich foods into your diet, such as fruits, vegetables, legumes, and nuts, can effectively support healthy blood pressure levels. By understanding and managing the delicate relationship between sodium and potassium, you can take proactive steps towards maintaining a healthier blood pressure and overall cardiovascular well-being. Number two, vasodilation. Potassium aids in relaxing the walls of blood vessels, promoting vasodilation. This dilation helps to lower blood pressure by reducing resistance to blood flow and improving circulation. Number three, sodium excretion. Potassium stimulates the kidneys to excrete excess sodium through urine. By increasing potassium levels, you can support the elimination of sodium, thereby reducing fluid retention and your blood pressure. Number four, arterial health. Adequate potassium intake has been associated with improved arterial health. It may help prevent the thickening and hardening of arterial walls, which can contribute to blood pressure issues as well. To effectively manage high blood pressure, it is recommended to consume potassium-rich foods such as bananas, avocados, oranges, spinach, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, and other fruits and vegetables. However, it's important to note that potassium intake should be balanced and monitored, especially for individuals with specific health conditions or taking certain medications. Remember, incorporating potassium-rich foods into your diet can be a valuable part of a comprehensive approach to managing high blood pressure, along with other lifestyle modifications such as reducing sodium intake, regular exercise, and maintaining healthy weight. So we're going to talk about potassium and its role and dive a little bit deeper into it. That way you can get a thorough understanding of how this process works. So potassium itself is what you call a natural diuretic. And a natural diuretic basically means it helps the body excrete the excess fluids that it's holding on to. And by potassium being a natural diuretic, the excessive amounts of sodium inside of the bloodstream that's contributing to your blood pressure issue, potassium helps the body to eliminate and release that excess sodium that's causing those problems. As well as being a natural diuretic, potassium also helps to soften the walls of the blood vessels. And in opposition of it, an excessive amount of sodium causes the walls of the blood vessels to actually stiffen and to harden. So when you consume potassium, and when you eat more potassium or include more potassium-rich foods into your diet, not only do you excrete the excessive amount of sodium from the bloodstream, but you also give the body the building blocks that it needs to soften up those blood vessels to allow for the blood to flow through a lot smoother. So potassium does a number of things when it comes down to regulating your blood pressure, and the best way to get potassium is by simply eating more potassium-rich foods. Now, in the Inside of Fruit and Salad ebook, we have a list of foods that are high in potassium, but one of the best things that you can do for yourself is just simply do a Google search. Do a Google search to understand what foods. You can simply Google what foods are high in potassium, and when you find those foods, just select the ones that you like already and you enjoy, and start incorporating more of them inside of your diet. And what you would see is, or what you would do is, you're going to be giving your body higher amounts of potassium, as well as the other specific vitamins and minerals that your body needs to help you regulate your blood pressure. So simply increasing your potassium levels while lowering the amount of sodium that you're consuming, you're going to increase your chances by you're going to increase your chances of regulating your blood pressure through this different pathway, through this specific pathway. And we have to remember as well that there's other pathways that need to be followed also, but this is one of the main things that you can do to help regulate your blood pressure. The majority of individuals that are dealing with some type of blood pressure issues is usually related to lower amounts of potassium and excessive sodium consumption. And we have to understand that the standard American diet is higher in sodium and is lacking in potassium. And most individuals, they're consuming the standard American diet, and this is where we end up coming up short at. So we have to understand, when it comes down to blood pressure, certain dietary adjustments are going to be important. So it's not just about reducing the sodium, but also increasing your potassium levels as well. And this will continue to help you gain more results as you move forward through managing your blood pressure. Now, we're going to talk about low potassium levels and some of the signs that you can look for when it comes down to understanding it. So low potassium levels, also known as hypokalemia, can lead to various symptoms and side effects. Here are some of the common manifestations of low potassium. Number one is going to be muscle weakness. Potassium plays a crucial role in muscle functions, including contractions and relaxation. When potassium levels are low, it can cause muscle weakness, fatigue, and cramping. Number two, irregular heartbeat. Potassium is essential for maintaining a normal heart rhythm. Low potassium levels can disrupt the electrical impulses that regulate the heart, leading to irregular heartbeats and palpitations. Number three, fatigue and weakness. Inadequate potassium can contribute to overall fatigue and weakness, impacting energy level and physical stamina. Number four, constipation. Low potassium levels may result in decreased intestinal motility, leading to constipation and digestive discomfort. Number five, numbness and tingling. Potassium is involved in nerve signaling and maintaining proper nerve functions. Low potassium levels can cause numbness, tingling sensations, or a feeling of pins and needles in the extremities. Number six, muscle cramps. Potassium deficiency can increase the likelihood of muscle cramps, particularly in the legs and the feet. Number seven, increased blood pressure, which is one of the main things. Potassium helps regulate blood pressure levels. Insufficient potassium intake can contribute to higher blood pressure, potentially fueling the hypertension issue. So understanding that if you have any of those symptoms, these are largely related to low potassium levels, along with a few other things as well, but these are directly related to low potassium levels. So if you're someone that's experiencing any of these things, incorporating more whole foods in your diet is one of the first places you should start when working to get better control of these types of problems, because the potassium deficiency is definitely part of the issue that's fueling your blood pressure problems. I'm not going to read through the list of potassium-rich foods. For those of us that have the information, you can just simply go through the ebook yourself. For the individuals that don't have it, just simply do a Google search. A Google search will get you everything that you need when it comes down to understanding the foods that are high in potassium. The best approach would be to eat more whole foods, fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and legumes, and you can find the potassium that you need in all those different items. Next up, we're going to talk about magnesium. Again, when it comes down to blood pressure, there's different minerals that all have specific roles to play, and magnesium is one of those very important ones as well. Not only is magnesium important for regulating your blood pressure, but it's important for many different functions throughout the body. And when there's a deficiency in magnesium, this leads to a domino effect of issues that's happening, not just high blood pressure, but a number of things. So here we go. Magnesium, an essential mineral that plays a vital role in maintaining heart health and managing high blood pressure. This versatile nutrient is involved in numerous physiological processes that contribute to cardiovascular well-being. Here's a closer look at the connection between magnesium and high blood pressure. Number one, blood pressure regulation. Magnesium helps regulate blood pressure by promoting the relaxation of blood vessels. It supports vasodilation, which reduces resistance to blood flow and helps lower blood pressure levels. Sufficient magnesium intake is associated with better blood pressure control. Simply eating more foods that are high in magnesium is going to be very, very essential when it comes to regulating your blood pressure. One of the biggest questions that I always get about magnesium is, what type of magnesium should I take when it comes to helping with blood pressure? Because there's many different types of magnesium supplements that are out there. But we have to understand the easiest way to avoid all of that complications is just eating foods that are high in magnesium. Don't worry about the type of magnesium that you need to take. Eat foods that are high in magnesium and let your body do the rest of the work that it needs to do. Like, you don't have to worry about the different brands and types of supplements out there. Just eat more foods, a combination of foods that are high in magnesium, because it contains the fiber, the water, the vitamins, the minerals, the enzymes, all the combination of things that it needs to properly assimilate in the body and do what it needs with it. So there's no specific type. Just simply eat more whole foods high in magnesium, eat a combination of them, and your body will do all the work that it needs to do to figure the rest of it out. Number 2, muscle and nerve functions. Magnesium is essential for proper muscle and nerve functions, including the relaxation of the smooth muscles in the blood vessels. Adequate magnesium levels help prevent excessive constriction of blood vessels, maintaining healthy blood pressure. Number 3, inflammation and arterial health. Chronic inflammation and arterial stiffness can contribute to hypertension and cardiovascular disease. Magnesium has anti-inflammatory properties and helps improve arterial health by reducing inflammation and promoting flexibility of arterial walls. Number 4, electrolyte balance. Magnesium works closely with other electrolytes such as potassium and calcium to maintain balance in the body. This balance is essential for proper nerve signaling, muscle contraction, and overall cardiovascular function. Now, one of the biggest jobs of magnesium is this. Magnesium regulates all of the other minerals that are involved in the blood pressure process. So you got potassium, magnesium, calcium, sodium, zinc, vitamin D, all these things, they all play a role in this process. But magnesium is the one that controls how everything moves. Now imagine if you have all the nutrients that you need, but you're low in magnesium. Now with you being low in magnesium, there's no way to properly regulate and make sure everything gets to where it needs to be. And therefore, this causes a series of issues to occur within the body, with high blood pressure being one of them. So understanding that magnesium regulates these different nutrients, and eating more foods that are high in magnesium is going to be the way to help you move through this process. Magnesium supplements are cool, but we have to understand they do not correct any problems. One thing about supplements is this. There is no way to tell how much of a specific mineral that you need at any given time. There's no way to tell. Your body changes on the daily, on the regular, by the foods you're consuming, the activities that you're doing, your stress levels. It's always changing. So there's no way to specifically tell what you need at any particular time. When you take a potassium, magnesium, or any type of supplement, you're giving your body a large dose of whatever nutrient it is. Now we have to also understand that when you're doing this, you're missing out on the other essential things that the body needs. If you're giving your body all this potassium or magnesium, what about the other items that are essential for helping magnesium properly assimilate and being utilized? Your body is only as strong as the lowest amount of nutrients that you're holding on to. So if you're consuming all of this magnesium, but you're also deficient in potassium or what other nutrient, you're never going to get over the particular hump that you're trying, because you have to be balanced in all these particular areas in order for your body to properly assimilate and utilize them. And the best way to correct these issues is by simply eating more whole foods that are going to contain the abundance of all the different vitamins and minerals that you need to continue to allow you to regulate your blood pressure. Simply consuming sweet potatoes, it's going to give you potassium, magnesium, the calcium, the sodium, and the zinc. It's going to give you all those different things in combinations in different amounts. And simply adding more of these different types of foods to your diet is going to allow you to continue to build on these things. So understanding that supplements are a band-aid. They do not solve any problem that you're dealing with. If you're someone that's been taking supplements for however long, you can see this, because if you stop taking them, then ultimately you're never you have to keep basically you have to keep taking them to get any type of results from actually using them. But we have to also understand this aspect is that it can take you anywhere between a few weeks to a few months to even get any type of results with taking supplements. But by simply eating more whole foods, you're going to be able to see the effects almost immediately. And when I say immediately, I'm talking about a day or two, because not only are you giving your body the fiber, the water, the vitamins, the minerals, and all the enzymes and things that it needs, but you're giving your body the highest form of these things, because supplements are designed after the foods that you consume. So you're giving your body the highest forms of nutrients. Your body's going to properly break them down, assimilate them, and utilize them the way that it needs to. And this is how you continue to build on these steps when it comes down to correcting these deficiencies that's fueling the blood pressure problem. So understand that eating more whole foods is going to be one of the best nutritional strategies that you make when it comes down to correcting your blood pressure issues. So next up, we're going to go into we talked about number 4, an electrolyte imbalance. To ensure optimum heart health and blood pressure management, it's important to include magnesium-rich foods in your diet. Good dietary sources of magnesium includes green leafy vegetables such as spinach and kale, nuts and seeds such as almonds and pumpkins, legumes, whole grains, and a few other things that's listed inside there. So this brings me back to one of the main things inside of the fruit and salad challenge. Now, I structured the fruit and salad challenge around these particular minerals, and the reason I structured the salads behind this is for this particular reason here. Now, in our guide, we talk about the different greens that we want to consume. We talk about the kale, the Swiss chard, the arugula, the spinach. We talked about all those different greens. All those greens are high in potassium, magnesium, your calcium, all those different nutrients. So when you're adding a fresh salad to your diet daily, like through this challenge, you want to consume a variety of these different greens. Get a little bit of Swiss chard, a little bit of arugula, a little bit of kale, and just put it in your bowl and mix it up and massage it down really good. You're going to get an abundance of all these different vitamins and minerals at their highest level. And when you do this, now you're going to be able to give your body the essentials that it needs. And doing this every day for the next 7 days, this is going to help you build a routine that's going to allow you to move in a more health promoting direction. Now, one of the biggest aspects we have to understand is this. This is not a 7-day fix. You don't fix your blood pressure issues in 7 days. It's not a 7-day fix. This is what we call a gradually progressing towards correcting the problem. You doing this for the next 7 days is going to give you a better understanding of how you need to continue when it comes down to making these dietary adjustments for your blood pressure issues. 7 days is going to kickstart you. This is going to help you build your foundation. This is going to help you see and understand what's going on in this particular area with your blood pressure. So when you're building these salads and you're using this foundation of these specific greens that we're talking about, you're giving your body the highest amount of nutrients, and you're giving it the building blocks that it needs so it can continue to move forward in the right direction. And when it comes down to our salads as a whole, we talked about making sure that we're having a fresh vegetable salad, meaning that we don't want to add any grains to it. We don't want to add any beans. We don't want to add any proteins to it. We don't want to put anything extra on it outside of fresh raw foods, meaning that cucumbers, tomatoes, bell peppers, whatever type of fresh raw ingredients that you have, adding those to the salad is going to be the best step, the best way forward when it comes down to getting the optimum nutrition that you need for these issues. And the reason being is that you want to make sure that you're eating these fresh raw foods, because again, this is the highest quality of foods that you can consume when it comes down to increasing your nutritional storages. And lastly, when it comes down to the salads, we want to make sure that we're not using those store-bought salad dressings. And I'm gonna dive into this a little bit because this is a critical point. And I want to make sure that we all understand this a little bit deeper, because it goes really deep when it comes down to your blood pressure through many different pathways. So when you buy store-bought salad dressings, matter of fact, if you have a salad dressing in your house, just get the one out of the refrigerator and just take a look at the back of it. Store-bought salad dressings are high in salt, oils, and sugars. 3 different items. These are 3 things: salt, oils, and sugars. These 3 items that these salad dressings are high in directly contribute to the blood pressure issues that you're experiencing. So understanding when you're on the road to correcting your blood pressure problems, it's essential that you remove all potential causes, and it's essential that you remove all potential causes that could be contributing to the blood pressure issues. That way you can reduce the burden on the body and allow for the body's natural process of elimination to heighten to help you correct some of the internal issues that you're dealing with. So these salad dressings are high in salt, oils, and sugars that can affect you in many different ways. And I guess, I go into the salt, oil, and sugar breakdown. That way you can get a better understanding of it. And I'm going to begin with salt because we typically hear a lot about salt. So I'm going to it a little bit deeper. So salt, basically, we have to understand how salt interacts with the body in order to get a better understanding of what's going on and how it's fueling the blood pressure. So when you consume salt, your body, wherever sodium goes, water follows. So when you consume salt and it goes into the body and it gets inside of the bloodstream, water follows to prevent sodium concentration. So when you consume excessive amounts of salt, water comes into the bloodstream and this increases your blood volume. Now with the increased blood volume, you have this excessive amount of blood flowing through your cardiovascular system, and this puts more pressure on your heart. Now your heart has to pump harder in order to pump this excessive amounts of fluid throughout the body, and now this leads to an increased blood pressure. So understanding when you remove the excessive amount of sodium from the diet, this reduces the blood volume by allowing for the excessive amounts of sodium to leave from the bloodstream, and the water leaves as well. And now the heart doesn't have to pump as hard in order to push the blood through the cardiovascular system. So that's just one pathway and one thing that salt does when it comes to blood pressure. So eliminating the excessive amounts of sodium will allow for you to reduce the strain on your heart and continue to bring the blood pressure down. Number 2 is going to be the oils that are inside of these salad dressings as well. And it's not just a salad dressing; it's all processed foods and all the different oils. Now, when it comes down to the oils, which goes into a whole nother conversation that we'll have another time, but we want to make sure that we're eliminating these dressings specifically because the oils that they contain, whether it's olive oil, coconut oil, flaxseed oil, grapeseed oil, whatever oils, all the oils in there, they're problematic when it comes down to your blood pressure. Number 1, they typically are high in calories to begin with. I think a tablespoon of oil is like almost 200, 300 something calories, just a little small tablespoon. So imagine if you're taking a tablespoon and you're drizzling it in on top of your salad, you're just giving yourself another 300 something calories just out of the gate by putting some oil on top of it. So we have to understand that's just one different pathway. But the biggest one is this: oils such as olive oil. Olive oil is what you call a vasoconstrictor, and it causes your blood vessels to constrict. And when this happens, your cells, which is the cells which line your blood vessels, which are called the endothelium cells, when they constrict, these cells begin to get damaged. Now, understand this about your endothelium cells. The endothelium cells, they have 3 jobs. Number 1, they need to stay close together to prevent things that are passing through the bloodstream from entering into the body. Number 2, they need to stay together and be nice and smooth. That way, when the blood is flowing through the blood vessels, it's not having any issues. It runs through nice and smooth. There's no clots, nothing that's hindering this whole process. And number 3, they need to produce what's called nitric oxide to help the blood vessels dilate for the blood to flow through smoothly. Now, when you consume oils have what's called a postprandial effect on your endothelium system. And what this means is as soon as you eat any oils and it goes into your body and starts to get digested, your blood vessels constrict. When your blood vessels constrict, those cells inside of the blood that line the blood vessels, they start to rub up on each other. They start to get damaged, And over time, this contributes to the blood pressure issues as well. They start to get damaged. They're not able to produce the nitric oxide to dilate the blood vessels, and this contributes to the blood pressure issue further. And this doesn't just happen overnight. This happens over the course of years of just continuously abusing these cells. And one of the best things that you can do during the process of trying to correct your blood pressure issues and further understand them is by subtracting and removing oils from your diet through all the different pathways that you could be consuming, whether it's salad dressings, processed foods, what you're cooking with, and things like that. Remove them from your diet for an extended period of time. That way you can better understand what's contributing to the problem that you're experiencing and move forward. Because what happens is once you remove these oils from your diet, this allows for those endothelial cells to start to rejuvenate themselves. They can start rebuilding themselves and start functioning at a higher level, and this will help with the vasodilation, help smoothing out the blood vessels so the blood can flow through a lot smoother, and it'll allow for you to gain some more ground when it comes down to correcting your blood pressure issues. So eliminating these oils, especially the ones inside of these dressings, is going to be key. And number 3 is going to go with the sugars. Sugars is what I like to call a thief of the body. It steals from the body in many different ways. When you consume sugars, it's like sugars come to your body and they don't bring anything with it. They don't have any vitamins, no minerals, no enzymes. They don't have nothing. It's not bringing anything to the party. So when you consume sugar, it's coming in with nothing and it's leaving with everything. So in order to properly metabolize sugar, your body needs other vitamins and minerals. And remember, when we first started, we talked about the minerals that are essential for regulating your blood pressure. So when you're consuming sugars, and I'm specifically talking about processed sugars. I'm not talking about like fruit sugars and things like that. I'm talking about these highly processed sugars. When you consume these processed sugars, now your body has to take nutrients from other areas in order to break down and utilize the sugars, and this contributes to other deficiencies. And if you're dealing with a blood pressure issue, it's probably related to a deficiency already. And if you're consuming an excessive amount of processed sugars, this continues to cause the problem. And in order to correct these issues, you have to remove those potential causes. So eliminating salt, oils, and sugars is going to be one of the big parts of it. And we'll get a little bit deeper into that as we move forward. But the main thing that you guys should focus on now is eliminating these those processed or those store-bought salads from the store-bought salad dressings from your diet. That way you can continue to move forward and remove that particular obstruction. Now in the fruit and salad ebook, I've given you several different recipes that you can use. I want to say it's like almost 9 different recipes that you can use in order to properly do this. And it's not a super huge task. You don't need a blender to do all these things. You can use a simple fork and a whisk and a bowl, and you can make these salad dressings yourself, and you'll find some comfort in the ones that you're making. And that way you can continue to move forward and have a health promoting salad that's free of the salt, oils, and sugars that could be contributing to the problem. And you can open up the pathway for your body to heal at a higher level a lot faster to get a better understanding of what's fueling the blood pressure issue. And again, when it comes down to solving this type of blood pressure problem, you must be willing to dot the I's and cross the T's and understand if this is your particular trigger. For some people, this might not be the issue that they're dealing with. For other people, this may be exactly what their problem is. But you will not know until you walk through the path, walk down the path. So my thing is, simply put away what you know, what you think you know, what you heard, what you saw. Put it away. If you're participating in the challenge, put it away, put it to the side, and go through the next 7 days with this type of strategy, and you will be able to have an understanding of what works best for you. Because again, this is all about the removing process, removing things from the diet that could be potentially fueling the blood pressure issues. Once you remove these potential problems, now you're going to be able to see how your body responds. You're removing those salt, oils, and sugars that are contributing, and you're eating the foods that are high in the nutrients that you need. You're taking away the problem, and you're giving your body the building blocks, and now allow for your body to do what it needs to do. And this is how you progress to getting the results that you need. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them inside of the chat. That way I can answer any questions that you have. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up my last section here, and then we'll go from there. And again, when it comes down to these different foods that are high in potassium and magnesium, A simple Google search. If you don't have your ebook, a simple Google search will get you the understanding that you need. Just simply find the foods that you like that are high in these nutrients and consume them in abundance. It's as simple as that. Just consume enough of them and consume a variety of them and go from there. So I'm gonna answer any questions and we'll keep going from there. I see the first one. What do you recommend to eat for lunch when you have no time? I'm on the road all the time and have no time to stop. The best thing to do is to pack a lunch. That's the easiest thing to do. If you pack a lunch, bring it with you. That's going to be one of the most sustainable things all around. I still pack a lunch for myself sometimes when I'm out and about, and I know I'm not going to be anywhere to get anything to eat, because if you find yourself out and about and you're hungry, you're more likely to make a decision that's going to go against what you're trying to accomplish, because the world is not designed in a health promoting way. You got McDonald's, Burger King, fast food restaurants, all these different things on every corner to pretty much wheel you into whatever you desire. So understanding that if you're out and about and you don't have time for lunch, packing a lunch is going to be one of the best things. Packing a lunch with some fresh fruits, fresh nuts, a large salad, or whatever type of thing. Just packing your own lunch is going to be one of the best things that you can do to avoid the different pitfalls that are out there. You can't go and get gas without falling into a trap. As soon as you walk in the gas station, they got all the snacks and the desserts and the candy bars and the sodas, all of it laid out for you. So the world is not designed with your health in mind. So you have to be mindful before you enter into the world and make sure you just pack up the things that you need. Simply having a lunchbox or one of those little canisters that hold heat, and you can basically be able to just travel, move along, and support yourself through that part of the process. But you never want to be out in the world and not have anything to help you along your journey, because again, the world is not designed with your health in mind. Next, can we eat sweet potatoes like carrot sticks? Does the enzymes work best raw? Well, one thing about sweet potatoes is this: sweet potatoes is a starch, and you're not gonna. Well, one, you're not gonna enjoy them like a carrot stick. Reason being, it just doesn't work for the human palate that way. Like if you ever taken a sweet potato or raw, any type of potato, and just bite into it, it has a real earthy taste to it, and your body doesn't work well with those type. You don't have the enzymes to actually break it down the way that you will want to actually savor it in any type of way. So when it comes down to sweet potatoes, they're going to be best consumed cooked, because it's a starch, and ideally starches aren't the best thing for people to consume anyways. But when it comes, they do have many benefits that will help you along your way on the journey that you're on. But the best option is to simply cook the sweet potato in whichever way that you prefer, based off of any health issues that you're dealing with. Because one thing about it, how you cook or prepare a sweet potato can affect you in different ways. For instance, if you bake a sweet potato, like have you ever taken a sweet potato, you bake it, and then all of the sap or the syrup or the stickiness, whatever you call it, starts to ooze out of the side of it. That's all of the sugars that are inside of the sweet potato. And what happens is during the baking process, the whole structure of it changes. And what happens is now also is that where it lands on the glycemic index increases, meaning that those sugars inside of the sweet potato are going to affect you differently. And if you have blood sugar issues, this should be something that you should be concerned of. So instead of actually baking the sweet potato with blood sugar issues, you have other options. You could either boil the sweet potato, or you can saute them in different ways. There's many different things that you can do, but understanding what your overall health is going to be one of the main things. Because there's nothing necessarily wrong with the sweet potato, but how you prepare them is going to be one of the biggest aspects as well. So yeah, it's many different things out there, but the main thing is when it comes down to these nutrients that you need for your blood pressure, consuming them in a fresh, raw, whole form is going to be best. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, nuts and seeds, those are all going to be ideal. And when I say these foods, it means eat them in a combination. And the best way to approach it is basically eating the rainbow. Think of it that way. And this is something that's commonly said, but eating the rainbow means, maybe you have a red apple, some purple grapes, orange, orange, like an orange, you know, all the different combinations of fruits, a red watermelon, whatever you have, just eat a combination of them consistently every day, you know, 3 to 5 servings, and this is going to give you different vitamins and minerals. The different colors of the fruits and the vegetables give you different vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. And that combination will make sure that you're getting all the building blocks that you need for your body to properly assimilate it, utilize it, and continue to get the gains that you need. This is just day 1 of the 7-day fruit and salad challenge. I can guarantee you, if you follow through these different steps for the next 7 days, you are going to progress down a road that's going to help you, 1, get better understanding of your blood pressure, 2, feel better, and then 3, be more determined to get to the root cause of the problem. These next 7 days are designed to give you that understanding, and I can attest to just simply following these different strategies that we have, it's going to get you where you need to be. And the main thing we have to understand is that it's a journey. This is not just a 7-day one and done, fix my blood pressure type of thing. This is a 7-day process that's going to take you on a journey to better understanding how to improve your lifestyle. Because when you improve your overall lifestyle, you're going to improve your health, and this is going to help you correct the internal blood pressure issues. Because blood pressure issues are directly related to the quality of life that you're living. And many people are living a lifestyle that's contributing to their blood pressure issues. And one of the questions people have is like, well, who wants to live a lifestyle that causes high blood pressure? Most people don't understand how they're fueling the problem through the way that they're living. And these challenges are going to help you get a better understanding of what you need to do to correct those internal issues. So we went through potassium, we went through magnesium. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about calcium, we're going to go into zinc, and then we're going to start talking more about those different connections that we have there. So understanding that potassium-rich foods, magnesium-rich foods, those are all going to be essential. Those salads that you're having with the kale, the Swiss chard, the arugula, the spinach, all those are going to be your building blocks. Figure out the best combination that you like. If you like all 4, get a small amount, put them all together, massage them up real good. That's going to be the best salad base that you can create for yourself, high in all those different vitamins and minerals. And one thing you should also understand is that your body will not allow for you to overdo any particular nutrient. You'll be full before you even get anything else in. The only way you overconsume any particular nutrient is by taking supplements, basically, because you're giving your body a quick shot of excessive amounts of nutrients. But by eating whole foods, you're giving your body everything that it needs to utilize them properly. And they go through a more complex process of digestion, specifically with the fiber and the water and everything that's in there. The body has to break down the fiber. It has to properly assimilate all the different vitamins and minerals and the nutrients that are there. And this complex process allows for your body to work more efficiently. And this is in turn how you get the results that you need, by focusing on your body as a whole. You don't want to isolate any particular compound. You don't want to isolate potassium or magnesium and just take that. Give your body everything that it needs. Focus on it as a whole and watch how your body rejuvenate itself moving from there. And if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in. Other than maple syrup, what do you recommend to sweeten the dressings? What are your thoughts about raw stevia? Well, raw stevia, I would definitely say stay away from that, because again, it's an isolated compound. Once you start to extract different nutrients from its original source, it works more like a drug than anything inside of the body, and that's what leads to a lot of complications. So outside of maple syrup, simply using a date will be fine. Or if you're someone that uses honey can be fine as well, but just be mindful of the amounts that you're putting inside of it. That's going to be the best thing. But any other sweeteners outside of that, you really have to be very mindful of it, because one thing about it is this: when you, like I say, when you start to isolate these different compounds, they have a different effect inside of the body than how a whole food would. I'm gonna go ahead and break that down a little bit deeper for you. So when you take, let's start with sugar. When you take a sugar cane, you got a whole sugar cane, got the fiber, got everything inside of it. But to create sugar, you have to take this sugar cane, strip it down, press it, mill it, do all these different things to it. Once you isolate that molecule itself, you got to cook it, refine it, and do all these different things. it no longer going to respond the same way as that raw sugar cane would inside of the body. This is going to act more like a drug inside of the body because it's an isolated compound. If you want to understand this a little bit more, think about the cocaine process. They take the cocoa leaf and they do all the different things to it in order to extract certain properties and make a drug, make cocaine out of it. The same type of process, nothing different, the same thing. So understanding when you isolate that sugar compound from the sugar cane, it works inside of the body the same way as a drug. That's why sugar tends to be highly addictive. Some people say sugar is more addicting than cocaine. It's a lot of different things, but they go around the same pathway. The same thing with all those different other sugars. When it comes to agave and all those things, they all have to be isolated from their original source. And we have to understand that they don't work the same way once they're separated. Think of it this way. When you take a mango, you have a mango and you eat that whole mango by itself, it's very high in sugars, but it also has everything else to allow the body to function and maintain it properly. It has the sugar, it has the different antioxidants, it has the fiber, it has the other nutrients, it has everything packaged up how nature gave it to you. You're not isolating any particular compound, you're consuming the whole thing. And now when you consume this whole thing, the fiber and everything going through the whole digestive process, it allows for your body to gradually do what it needs to do. Whereas when you have sugar or soda or those processed refined sugars, they cause the blood sugar and the levels to spike inside of the body because there is no fiber, there is no water, there's no other vitamins or nutrients or anything else inside there. And that's where you see the blood sugar spikes and you see all the other complications that come from it. So understanding is try to stay away from those other processed refined sugars and just be mindful how you use the other ones, such as maple syrup and honey and those different things like that. So typically when you're sweetening an item such as like a salad dressing or maybe even tea, it's not really a big problem. The problem comes when you start using it in larger amounts, such as you're baking a cake or you making, those other you're using larger amounts of it. That's where the complications really occur. So outside of maple syrup, or honey, if that's something that you use, those are the ideal ones for sweetening. Anything else that's highly processed, try to stay completely away from it as best you can, and that's gonna get you the best results that you need. So raw is best, and one hot veggie meal is okay, right? So if I'm understanding properly, I guess you're referring to the raw until 4 type of aspect that we talked about inside of the book. So raw, keeping it completely raw all the way to 4 p.m. is going to be ideal for that strategy. And from 4 p.m. until having a hot meal, having your hot meals from then is going to be a strategy that you can use to help you along this way. So raw is always going to be best when it comes to getting the essential vitamins and minerals. It's going to give you the highest level of nutrients that you need. And you basically can't beat that. That's going to always be the best way to go. Miss Pamela says, I had cooked chickpeas with sweet potatoes. Is that okay? Including the potatoes that way? Yeah, that's fine. That's an okay meal. But we have to understand, we're talking about the 7-day fruit and salad challenge. So make sure that you're still including your 3 to 5 servings of fresh fruits and your large salad every day. That way you can get those essential vitamins and minerals that you need. And then whatever hot food that you're having afterwards, that's totally fine through the next 7 days. But your main focus is to give your body those nutrients. And the way that you're going to do that is through the 3 to 5 servings of fresh fruits and that large salad. And that's going to give you everything that you need to keep moving forward. And as you do that daily for the next 7 days, you're going to start to gain more ground and start to see those results and start to see the scale move in the right direction and all those little things that adds up to those big results moving forward. So that's going to be the best way. Miss Betsy says, what about raw sugar from the natural grocery store? No, stay away from it because, again, it's still an isolated compound. It's been separated. So no matter how raw or how natural it could be labeled as, you don't go pick up sugar off the ground. You have to separate it from whether the sugar cane, the beets, or wherever it comes from. You have to separate it from its original source, and that's where all the complications come from. What nuts would you recommend and what seeds are best? I'm thinking walnuts, cashew, pumpkin seeds, all raw and unsalted. Voila, you named it just like that. those are going to be that's going to round you off just like that. And the main thing that you said, raw and unsalted, that's going to be the best way. Reason being, when they're raw, they're not denatured in any type of way. Because we have to understand this. Anytime you put fire to any food, the molecular structure starts to change. Anytime you cook anything, it could be the most healthiest food in the world. As soon as you cook it, it starts to break down. It's just like if I was to grab a lighter and light this tree. This tree is gonna slowly start to break down, and once it engulfs in flames, it's gonna be destroyed over time. Same thing with the cooking process. Anything that heat touches, it starts to break down. So when you start to roast nuts, it starts to lose its nutritional value. And that goes with all of the food. So simply having raw and unsalted nuts is going to be one of the best things. The raw version is going to ensure that you have the highest amount of vitamins, minerals, nutrients in general in them. And the unsalted is going to help you in the aspect of making sure that you're not having an excessive amount of sodium during this process. Because what's the point of consuming foods that are high in potassium, but you're still having this excessive amount of sodium coming in? Because if that sodium level is high and the potassium level is low, you increase your potassium, but you're also still consuming sodium, you're going to still be fighting against what you're trying to do. So reducing the sodium and increasing the potassium will bring you back on a level playing field. That way that tug of war between your blood pressure is more balanced, and you can start seeing more consistency when it comes down to your numbers. Where do you download the fall cookbook? The cookbook is out. The cookbook has been sent out to everyone that signed up for the challenge. Inside of all of the links that you have, you simply just click on the cookbook, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but you click on the cookbook and it should be a download link. Matter of fact, I'm right here. Let me pull it up. It should be a download link somewhere on the top side. And that download link will allow for you to access the recipe book. And I'm gonna go ahead and share my, well, I can't share the screen, but I'm gonna turn my screen around. That way you guys can see exactly what it looks like. And here we go. I don't know if you can see this, but you might be able to see it. But I'm gonna try to show it to you. So when you go to the cookbook, it's gonna look something like, it's gonna look just like this. There's a little arrow down low where you can just click on it, print it out. You can click on it and download it. You can even share it with your auntie, your uncle, your cousin, or whoever you want to as well. All those little things are down there. So if you want to print it out or download it for yourself, simply go into the email. You'll be able to pull it out, and you can do whatever you want with it. And with arrow. And here, basically, it turns like a little book. The pages turn just like this. So if you're on whatever device, you can slide back and forth, flip through the book just like that, and you can have access to these different recipes that are there. That way, as you're going through the challenge, you have some other items that you can include into your diet moving forward. What else we have? And the same thing with the fruit and salad challenge ebook. It's the same way, same thing, same download options are right down there, and you can still turn the page the same exact way and continue to digest the information that are there. So all these tools have been sent out to everyone that's a part of the challenge. You'll be able to access those things, and then you'll be able to just continue to move forward and continue to get a better understanding. So tomorrow we'll be back here at 7:30 again. We'll continue breaking down these other different nutrients, and we'll go through those other pathways as well. Because again, sodium, potassium and magnesium, these are all just a part of the problem. This is going to answer the problem. This is going to answer some questions for many people, but then for others, it's going to be other things that are contributing as well. So understand, again, you got to be willing to go through the process to understand what your particular problem. No two people necessarily have the same type of blood pressure issues, but to get to the root cause, you must be willing to walk down that road, dot your I's, cross your T's, understand if it was this, understand if it was that, and be willing to just uncover what your potential issues is. And through this challenge, we're going to be addressing those different aspects, and that way you can get a better understanding of what's going on moving forward. So I'm going to take a couple more questions, and you can go from there. What is your take on Celtic salt after this reset? That's a great question. I get the Celtic salt question a million times, and I'm going to give you an understanding of it, and this is probably going to ruffle a couple people's feathers. It always does. Every time I talk about Celtic salt, always get backlash, but I'm gonna talk about it anyways because we have to understand what it is in order to understand how to answer the problem that we have. So when it comes down to Celtic salt is it's salt at its base. It's still sodium chloride, but it just has all these other vitamins and minerals inside of it, all these other minerals inside of it. The potassium, the magnesium, the manganese, all these different things that are very beneficial for the body in many different ways. And what happens is this: when an individual takes Celtic salt and uses Celtic salt, what happens is they typically get more of the different mineral compounds from the salt itself, and this tends to reflect in some of their blood pressure problems. So when you see a person that takes Celtic salt and they say, yeah, my blood pressure is down, it's usually because they were probably already deficient in potassium or magnesium, and the Celtic salt just helped them in that particular way to correct that imbalance that they have. But we have to understand this doesn't solve the problem. The problem is still there. And what happens, that Celtic salt is like a supplement, and you're supplementing the potassium deficiency or the magnesium deficiency through the salt that you're consuming. And it's not fixing the underlying problem from the poor dietary habits that are underlying or fueling the problem. So you may see some short-term benefits by using it, but we have to understand, as a long-term fix, you're gonna find yourself inside of a bubble. And what I mean by bubble is this: you're gonna be band-aiding this problem, and you're gonna be supplementing the potassium and supplementing the magnesium and these other nutrients that are there. You're gonna be supplementing them through the Celtic salt. And what happens is, you're not going to be giving your body the other things that it needs to properly regulate itself. And that Band-Aid that you're using, oh, I'll just make sure I use my Celtic salt and it's going to help me with my blood pressure. That Band-Aid is going to wear off eventually because the body adjusts to the different things that you're consuming. Think of it this way. I remember for myself in particular, at one point I had a shoulder injury back in high school. Matter of fact, I had shoulder surgery, and I was taking one Tylenol at first, and then it just felt like it didn't work at all. And then I used to take one and be okay, but then again I started having to take two, like just to try to get some relief from it. And this is a sign, or this shows you how your body gets accustomed to the things that you're consuming. And many people you can look at it this way. At first I used to be able to have one drink, and one drink will put me down, but now I can have two drinks, or my tolerance level gets a lot higher. I can handle this a little bit better now, because your body gets accustomed to what you're doing. So when it comes down to that Celtic salt, the same thing. Your body gets accustomed to what's happening. You putting these things inside of yourself, the body makes the adjustments, and although you're helping the blood pressure number, you're not fixing the problem long term. This problem is going to continue to manifest to the point where this Celtic salt doesn't effectively help you in the same way that it used to. And now you're back at square one with a blood pressure issue all over again, with no understanding of how to correct it. And the Celtic salt isn't going to work for you the same way. And now you're in this whole bubble where now this constructive high blood pressure disease can evolve into a degenerative disease. And this constructive disease right now is just the warning sign, the warning lights. Hey, your blood pressure is high. You need to do something about it. When it crosses the line, it becomes a degenerative disease, kidney disease, heart attack, strokes, aneurysm, all those things that are harder to come back from. It becomes a bigger complication. And again, this is a tougher issue to battle. So when it comes to Celtic salt, if you're using it, be mindful and make sure that you're making the other necessary dietary changes. And this is not saying you should, I'm not going to say, well, let me say it. During this process of trying to get better control of your blood pressure, remove remove this item from your diet. Get a better understanding of what's going on and allow for your body to do what it needs to do on its own. The better you remove these different Band-Aids and these supplements that are helping you or / hindering you in different ways, the better you're going to understand what the root cause of the problem is and come away with the ideology of how to fix it. This is what it's all about. It's not about just getting control of the number. It's about fixing the problem through our lifestyle and understanding how to maintain the results moving forward. Because you could take Celtic salt right now and bring your blood pressure down. But as soon as you stop taking it, then boom, the blood pressure goes right back up. As soon as your body adjusts to it, boom, the blood pressure goes right back up. And that's where the problem becomes. So just be mindful of how you're using it during this process. If you're in this challenge, my suggestion, move away from it during this process. Get a better understanding, and get better control through the natural ways of how you're living your lifestyle and the foods that you're consuming, and that's going to allow for you to actually, get to the root cause of the problem. In the salad dressing recipe, apple cider vinegar is used. Can you use any other vinegar like balsamic or rice wine vinegar to change up the flavor? Yeah, all those are fine. Yeah, those are all fine. Just be mindful of how much you're using, but other than that, you shouldn't have any problem with any other vinegar that you're using. So that's cool. And the same thing about Himalayan salt. It's no different. It's still sodium chloride at its base. It just have a different amount of vitamins and minerals inside of it. It doesn't make it any better. It's just, some of them have more nutrients than others, and we just have to understand what salt is at its core. And the better you understand what salt is, the more you actually understand like why or how it works, and why you should, if you're dealing with blood pressure issues and you have these type of sensitivities, you should be able to move away from it. And I'm gonna go into this salt a little bit before we wrap it up. So understand salt as this. I like to refer to salt as a poison. And the reason I say salt is a poison is because of the type of response that your body gets when salt is consumed. Now, we've all probably heard of the lemonade diet or the master cleanse, or it got a whole bunch of names, but there's a lot of different diets out there. And part of this dietary strategy is where you drink a glass of salt water and it flushes your body out. And it allows for you to just eliminate, it flushes out the digestive tract. It does all these wonderful things when it comes to cleansing the body. Now, we have to understand that the reason this works is because the poison response that salt gives to the body. Now, the amount of salt that it takes to poison the body is about 4 ounces. That's like a little small ramekin. If you take 4 ounces of salt and you consume it like that, you'll probably die. Like, if you don't get the attention that you need, 4 ounces of salt will kill you. But no one consumes 4 ounces of salt. Most people don't, because it can't get past the tongue. But what happens is, most people microdose themselves. They put salt on everything, and that just continues to contribute to a lot of issues that we have. Think of it like this. If you take a pinch of salt and you put it on your tongue, the first thing that's going to happen is your body's going to go, you're going to give an outward rejection. You're going to be like, oh man, that's like, it doesn't taste good. So we have to understand that your body already immediately rejects salt, along with any other toxin that it comes into. If you put dish soap on your tongue, your body will go, you put anything on your tongue, it's gonna change, your body responds. The language of the body lets you know that, this isn't right. And you can differentiate between this, because if you have some food that's nasty, you'll probably be able to oh man, I don't really like this, and you can deal with it. But for those highly toxic items, your first thought is to eliminate this and to get rid of it, get off the tongue, drink something and get rid of it and move from there. So when you consume salt, this initiates the poison response inside of your body, and specifically in larger amounts. When you cut larger amounts of salt, it initiates a poison response. And when it initiates the poison response, 2 things happen. One, you're either gonna vomit everything up inside of your body. Reason being, your body doesn't want it to get past a certain level, so it brings everything back up in order to prevent the whole organism from being poisoned and being compromised. So the body will vomit it up completely. Now, if the salt gets past a certain level, now, okay, we can't bring it back up here. We're going to shoot it out the back end, and you're going to get diarrhea, and it's going to flush everything out that way. And that's the poison response that comes from an excessive amount of salt consumption. So we have to understand this. Even though we don't consume salt in those large amounts, those smaller micro dosage of salt that we have, it plays a similar role when it comes down to a lot of the internal things that we have. One, salt is an antibiotic, and the gut bacteria that we have, the good and the bad, it's affected every time you consume salt. So the gut bacteria, the microbiome, it changes every time salt is consumed. And now the good bacteria, the bad bacteria, all of them are being complicated. And when your microbiome is off balance, now disease starts to manifest in many different ways. It causes many different complications. And again, this process happens over time, but understanding that, you know, this is something that happens every time you're consuming these particular items. So being mindful that, salt is not just a seasoning that you use on your food. This is something that could potentially cause a lot of issues. And that's why when someone develops blood pressure issues, they usually say, hey, reduce your salt intake, reduce your sodium intake, because this could be fueling the problem. And one thing about it is this, I want to make sure I say this. A lot of people, although the salt is directly related to their blood pressure issues, there's a group of people out there that don't have this sodium sensitivities that still have blood pressure problems. So understand that salt might trigger some, but it might not trigger all. So we just have to understand our bodies as we move forward and how we can handle certain things. And this is going to give you that better understanding. But the best way to get a better understanding of your blood pressure and get control of it is removing this particular item from your diet for a period of time to rebuild the body, regain control, and move forward. And now, one of the best things I like to say is this. These different tactics and strategies is going to allow for you to press the reset button on your health. It's going to help you press the reset button and clear out and rejuvenate the body through many different pathways. So doing this for a period of time will allow for you to hit that reset button and allow for you to rejuvenate yourself. And one thing that we have to understand is that you don't want to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because you'll never gain the ground that you need to by, halfway doing it. Oh, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to do that. Like, I can do this, but I'm not going to do that. You never get to where you need to be, especially when it comes down to, an accelerated path. So going through these different processes, you must be willing to say, hey, for the next 45 days, 3 months, 6 weeks, however long, I'm going to go through this process to see what's really going on. I want to know if this guy really know what he's talking about, or he's just some weirdo on the internet just saying what is what. But you must be willing to put aside what you've been doing and start applying the different tactics and strategies to progressively move forward through this process. Because again, it's all about withdrawing, pulling away the things that are complicating your health, and applying the things that are going to help benefit you along this path, along this journey. And this is what these different tactics and strategies are about. And as we continue to move forward, you're going to be able to see these different things. So salt, again, it's one of those things that for some individuals, it's a big problem. For other individuals, it might not be their issue. But in order to get to the root cause, remove it completely, and your doors will open up to give you a better understanding. But as long as you're still consuming it, your body's not going to be able to release that burden that is under. So the best pathway is to remove it and move forward. And that's going to allow for you to get better understanding. So again, that's been our hour right now. Tomorrow we'll be back at 7:30, and we'll continue through the rest of the Fruit and Salad Challenge ebook, continue to break down the different vitamins and minerals that are essential for regulating the blood pressure. So again, I definitely want to see you guys again tomorrow. So be sure to hit the subscribe link. That way you guys can get the different notifications whenever I do go live, and we can continue with the challenge and get a better understanding of how to get to the root cause of our blood pressure issues and work our way off of pharmaceutical medication. So peace and blessings, guys. Take care.